Hello. Today we're going to try something a little bit different to review for our upcoming quiz on term combining. And this is called Rally Coach. And normally if we're in regular school, one partner would be partner A and another partner would be partner B. So today I'm going to be partner A and I'm going to demonstrate what's called a parallel task. These two problems are very similar. So I'm going to demonstrate partner A, and you'll then do partner B independently and answer the questions. So I'm going to start out by saying that a term can be a number or a variable or a product of numbers and variables. When they're side by side, it means multiply. But we're just going to separate the terms now, and these are separated by plus and minus signs. And so I have a negative 4n, and this positive 10n is like because they both have the variable n. So now I'm going to gather them up because they are both like terms, and I'm dropping this 10 down as a positive 10 because there's a plus sign. So the part that we need when we're combining terms is actually just the coefficients. That's the number in front of the variable. And since we're combining terms, I'm going to add them. So the answer is 6, and I have to remember that these are both n terms, so the answer is 6n. This started out as a binomial, which means two terms, and now I have a monomial, which is one term. Would you please look at your expression? To simplify, how many terms does it have? If you said 2, you are correct. Would you please combine your two terms and say what the final answer is, final expression is? 7x is the final answer. Would you please copy this down, pause, and copy this down on your paper? Number 3 has 3 terms. I see 9a separated by a minus sign, 4a, so I'm going to look at that as negative 4a, and this variable doesn't have a coefficient, and I need one, so I'm going to put 1 in front of it because it doesn't change the value. So my like terms are all like terms. I'm going to drop that minus 4a down as negative 4a, and that plus 1a is going to become positive 1a. So we're combining the coefficients, and combine means we're going to add them. And when I add 9 plus negative 4, I get 5. Positive 5 plus 1. Oh, I have 6a. Now it's your turn. Would you please look at the expression for number 4, and would you tell me what the final answer is after you simplify it? Go ahead and show your work on the paper. If you said 7y, you're correct, because there's a minus sign. We look at this like it's negative 2. And if there's a variable without a coefficient, we place 1 in front of it. As I look at number 5, it's a little bit different. There's 3 terms, but only 2 terms are like terms. I have 6x and positive 3x. 4 is not like it because it doesn't have an x. So I'm going to place 6x and 3x, positive 3x because of the plus. Those are like terms, and minus 4 becomes negative 4. So I can only combine the 6 and the 3. And 6 plus 3 is 9, and I'm going to drop down the x. And now there's 2 ways I can write this negative 4. I can add negative 4, but I cannot go any further. This is where I need to stop. This is an x term, this is not, so I cannot combine them. However, I could write them one other way. I could write that as 9x minus 4. And this would be the high school way. This is what you'd see the answer look like in a textbook. However, these are equivalent expressions and they mean the same thing, so it's correct to write them either way. Now it's your turn. Would you please look at this expression and tell me what the final answer is? Okay, in this example, there's only one term that had a variable, so it stands alone in the answer. And then we could combine 5 plus 7, and the reason we're adding them, the reason they're both positive, is because there are plus signs in front of them. that leads to a positive 12, so that's why we're going to write plus 12. That's the only way we can write that. So let's go on to the next problems. Each series of problems looks like it gets a little bit more complex. This looks like it has more terms. So I see one x term here, so I'm going to circle it. And I'm going to look for other x terms. Well, here's another x term right here, but I'm going to notice that minus sign. That's going to become very important. So I'm going to circle that. Now I have no more x terms, so I'm going to go on to my y terms. I need the operation sign in front. And so I have 4 terms. So when I write on this line, I should also have 4 terms. I'm going to start alphabetically with my x terms. I have a positive 5x and a negative 8x. So I can put those together as one x term. I have a positive 7y and a positive 2y. I can put those together and make one y term. So if I add 5 plus negative 8, that would be negative 3, and they're both x terms, so the x comes down. If I add 7 plus 2, they're both positive, so that would be 9. And it's positive 9, so I'm going to write that as plus 9. And this is the answer. Now it's your turn. Would you please tell me what the final answer, final expression is for number 8? When we gathered up the terms, we had 2 a terms. They're both positive. We had a b term that was negative and another b term that was positive. So when I combine the a terms, I have 14a. And then when I combine negative 3 plus 9, we get 6, and it's positive 6. So 14a plus 6 is your final answer. Okay, we're working on the home stretch. Ooh, this time I see they've given us a different type of problem. I see x's throughout, except for this is a constant. However, 2 of these have a little exponent of 2, and we can pronounce this 5x raised to the second power, or 5x squared. Excuse me. So I'm going to gather up my x squared terms. I see that there's 2 of them. So I have 5x squared, and I have, negative 3x squared. Those are like terms. This one is different because it does not have the 2, so it's a different term, and it's positive 4x. And then finally, that's a constant. It does not have a variable attached, and it's constantly 7. It's not going to vary. It's also positive because of the plus sign. So I can only combine 5, and I can combine negative 3. Combine means I'm adding. 5 plus negative 3 is 2, and now I need my x squared. I'm going to drop down 4x because there's nothing to combine it with. And I'm going to drop down 7. There's nothing to combine it with, so I'm going to make it positive 7. That positive 7 I'm going to make plus 7. Now, I'm really tempted to put these 2 terms together, but I cannot. This is x squared, this is x, and they're different terms. So now it's your turn. Would you look at number 10 before you begin? And please tell me if there's something unusual about this problem. If you notice there's no like terms, you are correct. This was tricky. This looked like these 2 might be like terms, but look what we see. One's an n, one's an x. So we cannot put them together unless the variable's the same. So in this case, we cannot combine any terms. This has to stay as is. So here we are, our final expression, and I see 5 separate terms. And even though there's a constant first, that means a number without a variable, we like to start with the variables, the terms that have variables. So I'm going to start with 6a. I'm going to circle it, and look, it's a positive 6a. And I see plus a. Well, I need a coefficient, so I'm going to put 1 in front of it. That doesn't change the value. 1 times a is a, and now I don't have any more a terms. So I'm going to box the other terms, and these are all constants. So I'm going to gather up my a's first. I have positive 6a and positive 1a. I'm going to be able to combine those into one term. My constants, I have negative 5 plus 3, so I'm going to bring it down as positive 3, minus 4, I'm going to bring down as negative 4. And all of those constants I'm going to be able to combine as one number. So continuing, 6 plus 1 is 7a, and then negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2, and negative 2 plus negative 4 gives me negative 6. So I can write this as plus negative 6, but the answer key in a book would say 7a minus 6. This would be the high school way to write it. We prefer not to write double signs if we can avoid it, and since these two are equivalent, we'd prefer to write it this way. However, the other expression is equivalent. Last one, your turn. Would you please tell me what the final answer is? If your answer was negative 5n for the first term, that's correct. And if you added 2 plus 7, that's a positive 5. And positive 5 plus negative 6 would be negative 1. You could also write this as negative 5n minus 1. So now I'd like to know, I want you to rate yourself as far as your level of understanding. Where 5 is you totally understand this, and 1 is where you really would like a lot more help. 3 would be somewhere in the middle. So would you please rate yourself on your level of understanding, 1 through 5. Now please write one thing that you've learned about combining like terms. Or instead, if you prefer, you can write a question. Is there something that you'd like to know? Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have an enjoyable day. Bye-bye.